Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name's Ray, the Market Trader. And before we begin, we'll take a look at our risk disclosure. So just want to remind everyone that the content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader and its affiliates is to be treated as general information only. None of the information provided by the company or contained herein is intended as investment advice and offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, or sponsor any security, company, future, or fund. We all understand that the use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company, its partners, representatives, agents, employees, and contractors assume no responsibility or liability for use or misuse of such information. Future trading does carry a fair amount of risk. It's not for every investor. An investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right. So now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, I believe I gotten through the risk disclosure. Hopefully that's visible wetlands. Is that correct? Morning. Okay, perfect. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll turn our attention now to the news portal here. So we'll stop share and then we'll move over to the news, which I think there's a news today. So we have PPI, core PPI, month over month, year over year, all coming in. Looks like it appears that it all came in below expectations here. Okay, so we got let's see, 2.6 when we expected 3.3, negative 0.1 when we expected 0.3. 2.8 year over year when we expected 3.5. So not a very good number, honestly. And I'm not sure exactly how the market is reacting to that just yet. So wholesale inventories month over month, we have a report coming out at 10 a.m. Today. We have crude oil inventories coming out at 10:30 for those crude oil traders. And then let's see, we got 10-year note yield reports coming out at 1 p.m. So a fair amount of news, especially potentially impacting the markets as we speak. Just kind of looking across the ticker here. Looks like that was received positively looks like the S&P was positive. Okay, so let's go ahead now and take a look at the markets. Okay, now that we have a sense of the news here. Good morning, Stumps. You need cheaper bacon today and the rest of this week. We should be very, very cautious and under leverage. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and turn our attention over to the charting platform here, and we'll take a look and see what impact the news has had on the markets. Okay. So this is natural gas. We're going to go ahead and move over to the gold market. Okay. Let's see if we can move this over here somewhere. Get out of the way. Okay. All right. So there's a chart of the gold. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daily chart. Okay. So I don't know if the spike was a result of the initial report of PPI, but we got a spike to the upside, and that looks like has been met with some sellers. Okay. We continue to be in a bullish trend. Okay. On the daily, no surprise there. Okay. We've been on this this bullish trend now for some time. The question now becomes, well, where could this stall? Okay. And again, there's really nothing to the left here that would give us any indication of where this is stalled, since we're at all-time highs. Okay, so again, a couple of things that we can do here is, we could look at Fibonacci for some guidance. We could take the most recent swing, okay, and see where we're at. Okay, the swing that I see here is the one that we're in, but the last, I guess, significant swing is back here. So I would maybe begin to look at it this way, right? Do this kind of, and then this low. Well, we've already reached the 100% extension of that swing. Okay, and that could explain why we're seeing a little bit of selling here. Okay, but we still have some levels above us. Okay, we have 4,000. We have 3,800 is 3,700 obviously is a psychological level. So we've already reached the 100% extension of the most recent swing. I call this a swing because I got hot. This looks more impulsive than what I saw here. Okay, so we got an impulsive move here. We moved into some sort of range, and now we're in another impulsive move. Okay, so daily chart still giving us indications that the market is still very much in an uptrend. Okay, it's above a lot of the indicators that we care about. And I was going to see if I can get to my EMA here. Let's see. Just going to see if I can get to a moving ribbon. But in any case, I expect that we're above all the moving averages here. Okay, there's really now nothing that would indicate that we are below any sort of moving average in this market. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a peek at the 4-hour chart here and see what the 4-hour chart. Again, you can see that we're at this 100% extension. We've already kind of touched on that. Trying to see if I can get to my opening range. Close this, and we'll see if I can remove some things here, guys. So here. Okay, turn this off here for a moment. All right, so looking at the 4-hour chart here, okay, we've reached the price level. We're developing a bearish engulfing candle at the moment, which could indicate not so much that we're kind of going to set up an impulsive move here to the downside, but we could be overdue maybe for a slight retracement back to the bottom end of the channel that I'm about to draw here. Okay, would not be out of the realm of possibility of that. Okay, we've already kind of revisited to some degree. Okay, and we kind of rallied away from it, but nonetheless, we remain in this bullish channel up against a price level that could act as resistant. All right, so let's go ahead now and take a look at the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart right now, we're hovering right at the settlement price from yesterday, which is the closing price from yesterday. So the question now becomes, well, exactly what are we going to respond away from it? Okay, we do see that we're getting a little bit of participation. It's not like a steady state of buying like we've seen in some of these candles. We are seeing participation, mainly, I guess, would be on the sell side in the moment, right? You're seeing a strong amount of selling here. We're getting about almost 8,000 more sell orders than buy orders. Now the question becomes, is price responding to that selling? And I guess it's kind of mixed, right? We are getting bearish candles, but not without some participation here from the bull side. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open up our standard kind of ADR level here tool here. So ADR level, okay, just to get a sense of where we're at. And you can see that we've already reached the ADR level to the upside, okay, and reacted away from it. Okay, so the question now becomes, are we going to continue in that move to the downside, and maybe revisit some of these lows, revisit maybe settlement price from the prior day, which we have not. Okay, So that's something to keep an eye on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove our channels, do a little bit of volume analysis here, and see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. So if we take a look at Tuesday, okay, this is I'm still in some sort of replay mode. Let's get out of replay mode. Okay. All right. So all right, let's do a little bit of volume profile analysis. Let's locate the start of yesterday's trading. Okay, that's not it. Let's see one more. Right about there. Okay, and drag that to the close. And you can see that we are inside some sort of area of balance here. Okay, so price is inside the value range from yesterday's session. We did manage to close outside the range, only to find some buyers, and we've rallied for the most part during the Asia and maybe to some degree London. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the initial balance range from all the sessions here. Okay, so we're going to start off with Asia here. We're going to modify the initial balance tool to look at Asia. So, and Asia, you can see that we extended the range to the upside. Very nice. Well, initially, it looks like, well, actually, the range kind of we moved to the downside, and then we broke to the upside and got in on a very nice move to the upside. Okay, almost to the 200% extension. Okay, of the initial balance range. So fair number of bulls. Okay, maybe they're very out of their positions during the Asia market. All right, and then if we take a look at London, London is probably a little bit more of a mixed bag. If I can change, yeah. So we got an extension higher. We reached the 100% extension, but then with the news, okay, with the news, we got a reaction away from the 100% extension, and it looks like that maybe we might be in a little bit of kind of bearish structure here at the moment. Okay, so looking at the current session, okay, looking at the day session here, yes, I think as a result of the news, we do have a relatively wide range. We did come up to test I guess if there was any interest to go higher. The answer was for now, no. Okay. No interest, looks like, to go higher. We got a little bit of a rejection candle here, and now we're developing a candle that maybe is looking to close below settlement, and maybe the possibility of maybe heading down to this 3660 level. That would be kind of the natural progression given the candle formations that we were seeing of late. Okay. So I would say that headed into the session, looks like I need to wait for the market or the market participants to give me some additional guidance as to where they want to take this market. I would say that if you asked me right at this moment, I would say that we're kind of I would say more neutral. Okay, I see that we are in some sort of range here. We got to a high of 3,700, especially in this chart here. So it's certainly a range that can be traded. But right now we're kind of in the middle of the range. Okay, in middle of the area of maybe an area where I don't really want to be super active. Okay, I'm going to wait for the market to kind of give me a definitive, maybe a close below VWAP with a retest below initial balance low could offer me maybe an opportunity to the downside. If we do manage to hold VWAP, I do see that we are still in some sort of, depending on how you draw this channel here, right? If you draw this channel along these lines, then we're still kind of inside a bullish channel here to the upside, and maybe this is just a pullback for a continuation move to the upside. Okay. Right now, we have, as a result of the news, we did get some rejection. Okay. So maybe there is an expectation that we are going to raise interest rates here in the next couple of days, or lower interest rates, I should say. And as a result, that's kind of, having an effect here on the gold market. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to add here. So right now, I'm given the wide range. I'm going to kind of sit on my hands here a little bit. I'm going to wait for price action to give me a better sense of which direction. Right now, if I had to choose, it would probably be bearish. Okay. but I'm not really excited about participating in the middle of ranges here, right? So I'd like to see it, get below my VWAP or get below value area low, and maybe that gives me an opportunity that would lead me back down to the ADR low here. Okay. Do you see a 1 hour ORB in GC? Well, it's I don't know. Right now, I would say that the range is a little bit on the wide side, Stumps. Okay, and given the fact that the range is a little bit on the wide side, we could be in for maybe more range kind of price action. The wider the range, the less of an extension we see, but that doesn't mean that we can't get an extension. Okay. All right. All right. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the crude oil market. So looking at the crude oil market, we're going to start off with the daily. Now today we all know that we have EIA. Okay, we have inventories coming in today. Again, going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here, and then see if I can turn off some of these other things that are impacting my ability to review this chart. And again, we can see that we are in some sort of consolidation range. Really difficult market. I mean, to look at here is really kind of, I mean, the sense I get is definitely in range. Maybe obviously a little bit more of a bearish tint to this market than bullish for sure, just because of the fact that we have kind of a sloping market here to the downside. Price is continuing to make lower lows and lower highs. We've gotten some buying here around 62, but I think we are still very much inside some sort of bearish control in this market. Okay, until we start to break make some new highs here. Okay, all right, excellent, Sweet Pete. All right, so I mean, until we start to break, say 65.58, especially on this chart, really feel like we are in some sort of downward, kind of channel, bearish channel here in this market. Okay, this is not even the best kind of channel I can draw here. Okay. Yeah, maybe crude oil has kind of really squeezed folks out of the market, because the market is certainly not that active. Okay. So again, daily chart still showing signs of bearish kind of price action, bearish kind of structure. We do have EIA today, which could shake up the markets, could add some volatility, maybe even make it a little bit more tradable. Okay, honestly. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart and see if I can glean anything from this 4-hour chart. Okay, so you can see that we've managed to stay above. We've managed to stay above settlement price for the last 3 days, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Still don't know whether we're going to hold here. Okay. We've come up to a level here around the 64 level that has been resistant in the past. So I don't know about you, but I'm looking at this on the 4-hour side, and this doesn't really look impulsive to me. Okay. This move right here does not look impulsive to me. This looks to me more like a retracement for a possibility of maybe an extension again to the downside. That's kind of what I'm seeing. All right. Doesn't appear to be, something that is going to, kind of shoot up to the moon. But again, we have inventories today that we have some things that are going on event wise in the world that could cause the market to rally for sure. Okay, if there's a feeling that this particular commodity is going to be scarce, then we could see a spike in price. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead now and take a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, we can see kind of where we're at here. All right. So again, a lot of range kind of price action. You can see that we're getting price above and below the kind of indicators that I use. And when I see this, I'm really not super excited to be a part of it, right? Because this gives me an indication that we're going to remain in some sort of range, right? We had price come above, right? We have price above our 9 EMA only to get price to close below it. We had price above our VWAP only to close below it and then back above it. So what is this telling me? It's telling me that it's a market that's a little bit indecisive, a market that's probably a market I don't want to be a part of, right? Because there's no commitment on any sort of direction here at the moment. Okay. All right. Yes, it is a chop. It does appear to be a little bit of a chop fest. And again, I kind of joked about this. I like chop suey on my plate, but not on my trading platform. So I'm gonna sit on the sidelines here until we get maybe more clarity as to what direction they want to take this. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and drag this. Look at some volume profile here. All right. So again, further indication that we are in some sort of balance range. We are inside value from yesterday. Okay, giving us indication that there is sort of equal participation. There's no aggressive buying, no aggressive selling here at the moment. Okay. Let's take a look at those words never get old. The whole chop suey thing. Yeah, crude oil is definitely slippery. No pun intended there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the initial balance range. I don't know if this is really going to give us a whole lot of insight here, but we'll take a look here. Okay. So we'll take a look at Asia here to start and see what Asia was able to do with this market. We got a relatively nice extension here. Okay. Relatively nice extension during the Asia market here. So we got a break above, a retest on the high of initial balance, and we ran up to the 200% extension, which is not bad, right? Made for a really nice trade in Asia. Okay. Looking at the London session. All right. Let's take a look at London. Okay. We have, let's see what London's doing. Okay. So London is a little bit more in balance. Yeah, it did hit the 200% extension during Asia. London is a little bit more balanced. So we've gotten a break above that level. It's kind of looking more like a failed auction to me at this point, right? The problem is, again, auction where? Well, auction maybe to the bottom of the channel or bottom of this range. That's kind of what I'm seeing, because I am seeing a little bit of overlap here in the price overlapping both the 90 MA and the VWAP. Okay, so probably a market that's probably waiting for some additional information, which it is about to get here in the next hour here. Okay, so we'll take a peek here at the initial balance for this, I guess, the current session here, and see kind of what we're developing. I would expect a pretty narrow one. Okay, so there it is, pretty narrow range. Okay, right, pretty narrow range. So again, a narrow range because people are still waiting for EIA. Okay, so this could provide us at some point, maybe later in the session, definitely something that could extend this range without much effort here, right? We have a very tight range, right? Probably is probably not offering much in the way of, say, maybe a opening range breakout trade. I don't know. Right now, we're still only about a minute into the session, so there's still some time here. But right now, I would say that the market is in some sort of range, in some sort of balance. So I would say headed into the session, we're probably looking at a market that will continue in that way until EIA, and then maybe we get some volatility into the market, inject some catalyst here to kind of cause this market to move in one direction or the other. You can see here pretty symmetrical bell curve here when we're looking at the volume profile. So a lot of balanced trading going on, right? I don't necessarily want to be a participant on a bar or a volume bar where the highest amount of trade has taken place, right? This might be, again, another area where we'll see some chop. Now, once we get to the edges of this range, then maybe I might be interested. Okay, if it comes up here and holds above, then maybe I might be interested in a long. But right now, I'm sitting on my hands and waiting for participants to guide me as to what direction they want to take this market. Okay. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the equities. I know everybody's interested in looking at the NQ. Okay, so let's take a look at the daily. The daily is looking quite strong here to the upside. Again, maybe some indications, given some of the poor reports that we received in the that's going to force the Fed to make a decision here on interest rates that is going to be favorable to the market. So right now we are in a very symmetrical pattern to the upside. Okay, we are seeing indications that we are maybe even considering breaking above this area of, say, 24,000. 24,000 has been an area that we've kind of been monitoring as an area of resistance here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my chart here, right about there. Okay, it's not quite 24,000, but it's close enough. So it'll be interesting for me to see if we do manage to break above this level with some volume, that 24,000 could offer us a level that we can support and use to trade. So you can see here when we broke above 23,000, how it came back to 23,000 and offer us some opportunities to take some trades, right? We had an opportunity here, an opportunity here, and I'm kind of looking at the same kind of thing as well. Okay. Yeah. Depending on what triangle pattern you're looking at, Aslan, right? So if you're looking at it from a sort of a symmetrical pattern, okay. So if this is more of a symmetrical pattern, I'm in agreement with you, okay, right? If you're looking at this from this kind of right, then yes, it's a break of that pattern. If you're looking at it more like an ascending wedge, right, then we're still working, right? We're still working on that pattern, depending on which pattern so I can make a case for either of them. Either we broke it to the upside, okay, which is kind of past news. And now the question is, can we break above this ascending wedge? Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Again, we continue to see evidence that the market wants to head higher. Okay. So we are above value, right? We're in this kind of low volume areas. We see that price is above our VWAP, above our 9 EMA, above our settlement price, and we're developing a bullish candle, okay, with some volume, okay, right? So again, do I want necessarily participate at the highs of the highs? Not really, okay. I've been down that path before, and it's not always profitable, right? So I need to be patient. I need to wait for some levels where I can participate in this market, okay, without having to participate in the highs for a long, okay. So I'm going to wait for some sort of retracement, maybe back down to on this chart, back down to a level that is broken before, maybe 25,000 or 23,850. I know that's a good amount of distance away from the market, but I need to, on the 4-hour chart, I need to find a level where I can manage my risk. All right. So let's take a look at the 30-minute chart, see if we can find a range that could maybe help us participate in this market and maybe a little bit better. Okay. So we did make an attempt here to get above, right? The trying to get above 24,000 right now has so far been resistant. Okay. We did with the news get above, but we are a bit extended away from settlement price. We got a nice reaction off settlement that caused us to get above both our 9 EMA and our VWAP. Let's take a look at our volume profile and get a sense of where price is in relation to volume profile. Okay, so we'll drag that across, and you can see, unlike these other markets that we were kind of watching earlier, we see that market participants are interested in this market to the upside, right? Price is above value from Tuesday. And both I would expect, once we look at the initial balance, that we've either made some extensions here to the upside in both Asia and London. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's do just that. Let's take a look here at what the initial balance range is going to tell us across these various markets here. Okay, so we're going to start off with Asia. Okay, start off with Asia and get a sense for what Asia was able to do with this market. And they were able to take it higher too, right? So nice 225% or 50% extension of the initial balance range. So during Asia, okay. And then if we move this over to London, okay, London looks like we may have gotten a similar extension, okay, but not without a catalyst, okay. So our initial balance in London was to the downside, came back to maybe some of these areas where we found buyers in the past from Asia, and they stepped in and drove price higher. Okay. So again, looking for areas where we see evidence of whatever price action we need to participate in trades seems like a wise thing, right? Because if I decided that, okay, this market is going to go to the moon, I'm going to participate on the highs because I see that we're in a bullish trend. Well, look what happened to you, right? There was a sell-off, and participants loaded up at this level only to drive price higher, only to have you kind of sitting on the sidelines because you took a stop on a long that you took way too much risk on. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else do I want to add to this chart? So we got London, we got Asia. So right now, the fair number of buyers, I would say, in this market, 24,000 does appear to be an area of some sort of resistance. Certainly, if price were to come back down to the highs of this initial balance range, say 23,956 of London, that might be a logical area to participate in some sort of long move. Again, I'm not really keen on taking a long at this point. Another consideration, again, a not recommendation, just a consideration, okay, is that we could take the high and low of this candle here, and maybe the 50% or the 61.8% could offer us maybe a location which we're at right now, could offer us a location for maybe a continuation trade. Got a little bit of a pullback there. So headed into the session, I do see that the NASDAQ does appear to be a bit on the bullish side. I would say this is kind of maybe a buy the dip, potentially buy the dip type of market. We got a nice extension here as a result of the news. I think there's maybe some expectation that we might get some sort of further relaxing of interest rates. I think that's what's causing the market to rally here at this point. So if I'm in the equity markets, I'm looking for areas where I can manage my risk, whether I use Fibonacci retracements, whether I use prior resistance zones, whether I use VWAP or 9 EMAs, anything along those lines where I can manage my risk is kind of what I'm looking for right now. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. Unless there's any questions, kind of looking at chat to see if there's any other questions on this market. But out of the markets that we've seen so far, okay, gold and crude oil, this seems to me the most directional. Okay, right now. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the ES. It's probably telling us a similar story here. We'll start with a daily. We opened up with a gap. Okay. Again, that's obviously aggressive buyers coming into the market, right? We opened up with a gap. They can't. People are jumping over hand over fist to be part of this market. That's kind of what this is indicating. Now, every gap at some point gets filled. Now, whether it gets filled today or whether it gets filled in some time in the future, this gap will get filled at some point. Okay. So market is giving us even a stronger indication that we are headed to the upside. This is very much I would say, depending, I would say this is even a break of our ascending of this, I don't know, maybe an ascending wedge pattern. Okay. Or we're looking at a wedge that's continuing to show signs. We have to watch that fair value gap. So this area, are we talking this area right here, Aslan? This fair value gap? Is that what you're calling the fair value gap? Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and turn off initial balance. Okay. Yeah. So fair value gap, retracements, all lead to the same thing, right? Different terms for the same information. Okay. So okay. So in any case, we do see that price continues to, show us bullish price structure, higher highs and higher lows. As a result of the news, we got a nice, as a result of the negative news, we got a big push to the relatively strong push here to the upside. Okay. Again, I think the feeling is that there's going to be some relaxing of interest rates. I think that's kind of what people are kind of baking in as a result of this rally that we're seeing right now. Okay. So the market continues to make all-time highs. Okay. I'm trying to look here to the left. There's really nothing here to pause me. Okay. So if I'm looking at this from a swing perspective, I can say that maybe I can do an extension off of this. So if I do a little Fibonacci extension off of this swing to this swing down to this swing, well, we already reached the 61.8%, and according to this, according to Fibonacci, 6,600, 6,620 does not seem out of the realm of possibilities here. Okay, 6,600 and 6,620 does not seem out of the realm of possibility for this current move. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the 4-hour chart. We'll go ahead and drop down to the 30-minute. Okay, so 30-minute chart really giving us, again, the same kind of view. We're just kind of zooming in on some of these candles here. Okay, we're above everything, right? You can see this volume, visible range volume profile. We're above that. Okay, so again, we are in some sort of trend, okay, to the upside in the ES at the moment, right? All our value buyers are down at these levels, 65.20. Okay, these are where all our value buyers. Now, if I'm a value buyer, well, I need not to focus up at the highs, but I need to focus on some of these levels, right? Prior break of resistance, settlement price, value area high. These are kind of the value area buys. Okay, so this up here is a retail buy. Okay. Not interested in retail buys. I need to wait for some area where I can manage my risk. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at kind of Tuesday session here. Let's see where this takes us. I think everybody is going to make the same conclusion I'm about to make here, and that is that we have, I think, a fair number of buyers in this market here. Let's wait for this to eventually display here. Slowing down for some reason. Okay, we'll wait for that to hopefully resolve here. There it is. It took a while. Okay, so as I mentioned, and as I think everybody kind of concluded, there's a fair amount of interest, or more than a fair amount of interest, in participating in this market to the upside. Price is above value. Okay, so we are in the midst of some aggressive buyers. Now, I'm going to take a look at volume here and see how well volume is participating in this move. Okay, well, I'm not overly impressed. Okay, honestly. All right. I see that price is headed higher, but the volume for now is not really all that impressive. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit cautious until we maybe start to see maybe volume catch up with price. Right now, volume, although we're getting about 600 or 700 more buy orders than sell orders, it's not, this doesn't compute for me right now. Okay. The kind of price action we're getting is not translating to volume at the moment. Okay. All right. So again, given what I'm seeing right now, I think the view is that we're heading into a market that is quite bullish. I think if we are bullish, we need to wait for better price location to participate. And then I don't know, for those contrarian kind of traders out there, maybe there's an opportunity that would take us maybe back down to settlement at some point today, or maybe back down to VWAP. That's not out of the realm of possibilities here, but it's difficult. I would need some sort of pattern. Okay, some sort of pattern to indicate that's a possibility, right? So if I look at a 15-minute chart and I start to maybe see maybe a 3-bar reversal pattern of some sort. Right now, this is not the pattern, right? This is more of a continuation pattern. But if I start to see maybe some sort of 3-bar reversal pattern, then maybe I could take a trade that would take me back down to VWAP. That would be a reasonable trade, maybe later in the session. Right now, I have to see if I can find an area where I can participate to the long side. The 9 EMA here around 65.50 seems like a logical location here on the 15-minute. Certainly, VWAP around 65.43 would even be better. Really not super excited about participating here, but certainly, we could take I think a much riskier trade to the long side, maybe using the structure that was created here on the 15-minute as an area of invalidation. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead now and take a look. We got about 10 or so minutes away from the open of the market. So we'll take a look at the last market, and that's the Dow. Okay. And we'll look at the Dow and then just one final pass across all the other markets. Okay. So this is kind of the, I don't know, the ascending wedge pattern that we've been kind of following in this market. And you can see here, we keep butting our heads up at the highs, right? You know, we keep hitting our heads at the highs. Well, eventually the dam is going to break. Okay. Eventually the dam is going to break. And right now, if the dam is going to break in any direction, right now it appears it might be to the upside. Okay. Multiple tests of the highs of the market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each attempt is losing a little bit of seller liquidity here. Okay. Eventually we're going to run out of sellers and the market is going to be dominated by buyers. Okay. That's kind of at least what it's, that's at least what it's looking like right now. Okay. So let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, again, kind of zooming in on these daily candles. Now you can see how many times we've kind of come up to the highs here and have hit our heads on this, right? We came up, reversed, came up, reversed a little bit deeply, came up, didn't reverse as much, came up, didn't reverse as much. Is this an indication that we could maybe get a breakout at some point? Possibly, right? The retest of the highs are happening. There's less time between these retests. Okay. There's less time going on between these retests. So the more this level gets tested, that could translate to maybe at some point this level breaking. Okay. 45,800 continues to be an area of some sort of resistance in price here. Okay. Looking at the 30-minute chart. Okay. Looking at the 30-minute chart, let's take a look at that and see what it's offering us. So the news offered us a spike. That spike was not sustained. Sellers step back inside this market. We remain above our 9 EMA. We remain above our VWAP. But honestly, we've been in, especially on this time frame, we've been overlapping. Price has been overlapping above and below VWAP and the 9 EMA. So we've been in some sort of range. Again, that 45,900 level continues to be a resistance zone. Okay. So I'm expecting that at some point we're going to retest the highs. We're going to retest the conviction of these sellers. Okay. At some point in this market. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the fixed range volume profile. Let's get a sense for where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. And let's see here. Taking a little bit. Okay. So it is above, but we spent most of our time inside value. Okay. So this market is not as strong. Okay. Certainly not as strong as either the NASDAQ or the ES at this point. It required the catalyst to get above the value range from yesterday. Okay. So I would say the Dow looks to be the weakest, but it could maybe lead the charge during the New York session. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So we're above value. We're going to take a look at the initial balance range across these markets here. So if I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down, we're going to look at the initial balance range. We're going to start off with not London. Okay. But we'll look at Asia. Okay. So looking at Asia right here. Okay. So looking at Asia, we see that we did make an attempt to go higher. Really didn't offer much in the way of an extension. If anything, we failed. Okay. London is also not offering us much. It required a catalyst to really get above initial balance, and we're struggling to stay above the initial balance high. So yes, I would say that the Dow looks to be the weakest of the three equity markets. Okay. So let's do one. We got about 8 minutes to go here. We'll do one final pass across all the markets. I'm kind of interested to see what kind of market are we developing here in the gold. So let's see. We'll remove some of our. So we are in some sort of bullish channel. We are going to go ahead and open up the initial balance range for today's session. We have a relatively wide range, so we could be in store for maybe a potential range day. Okay, in this market. given the fact that we got this wide initial balance range. So our focus obviously will need to be at the edges of these ranges. Okay, whether we decide to, if we get some evidence of maybe a reversal at the edge, okay, for maybe a reversal back, and so we continue in range, or we need to look for some sort of pattern here, right? So looking at the 15-minute, again, 15-minute, maybe possibly looking at something that could be indicating something in the way of maybe a bullish, maybe a 3-bar reversal pattern. But I'm a little concerned about the selling wick here, and we're still technically, we have a sloping 9 EMA to the downside. So if I'm interested in a short, I would like to see this remain below the 9 EMA. If I'm looking long, then I'd like to see price close above, say, 36.89. Okay, 36.89. But if the equities are rallying, okay, generally what that means to the gold is that it's doesn't have to. Okay, I'm gonna doesn't have to, but generally the gold is working opposite of what we see in the equities. Okay, right. So so if the equities are bullish, generally the gold is bearish generally, but they have in the past moved in the same. But in any case, regardless of any sort of correlation we might see between these markets, we need to see what the market is telling us right now. The market right now is below our 9 EMA in some sort of bearish structure. So I would say if we're gonna err on one direction, it appears to me to be on the bearish side. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the crude oil market. All right, crude oil market again. So we got our open of the initial balance range. Kind of again, we're back to typical crude oil price action here. So we got a nice push to the upside with no follow through, and bears have stepped in. Now, is this going to lead to maybe a sell off right before the EIA report? Possibly. I would say that a reasonable target would be 63, but that's only 19 ticks away. So I don't know if I want to take all that much risk. This is kind of a 1-to-1 trade, really not offering me all that much in opportunity, to be honest. Okay. We are developing our initial balance range, but I would say that right now we are in some sort of range, right? In some sort of range. I don't know if for those head and shoulder pattern folks, this does look like maybe a little bit of a reverse head and shoulder pattern. I don't know if this being the head, this being the right shoulder, this being the left shoulder. I don't know. Does that mean that we are potentially headed higher in this market? I'm not sure. Certainly right now, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like it wants to head lower. Okay. Moving on to the equity markets. Equity markets, again, looks like there's a fair amount of strength here to this market. Okay. So you can see that we are reacting, okay, away from the 9 EMA, which is a good sign if I'm a bullish. Okay. This could offer us maybe a little bit of an extension here to the upside in this market. So seeing some bullish kind of structure developing in the NASDAQ. Looking at the ES, also developing some bullish price action, okay, to the upside in this market. And the Dow, okay, also developing some bullish price action. Okay, so I would say, I guess looking maybe neutral to bearish in the gold, probably neutral to bearish in the crude oil, and probably neutral to bullish in the equity markets as a whole. Okay. So again, if we are bullish, we want to wait for some levels here that make sense. Okay. VWAP and 9 EMA are those levels for me to look maybe for participation. Obviously, we have this candle here that could represent a lot of sellers here to keep the market at bay here in some sort of range. All right, so that's kind of what I have for you guys today. I see that a fair number of you have already exceeded the thumbs up. If you haven't already, I'd encourage you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, give me a comment or two on the portal. Happy to entertain any questions here. That remains here 3 minutes before the open of the market. Okay, thank you, Stumps. So yeah, we'll go ahead and close off this session as we close. Thank you, Stumps. All right, Aslan. Yeah, so we'll close off this session as we close most sessions, guys. Trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Have an excellent day trading, guys. And that is indeed a wrap. All right, guys, have an excellent session today. And we'll talk again either in the Coaches Raise room or later in group coaching. Okay? Yes, definitely stay green.